here, welcome back, and today we are going to be talking about how to harden off your plants, a very important topic when you're moving your plants from inside to outside. So that can apply to when you're starting seeds indoors, or if you've overwintered anything and then you're moving it out for the spring or the early summer. So it entails all of that. It's basically giving your plants the best start possible. So hardening off essentially means acclimatizing. So when you've started something indoors or it's living indoors, it is not used to the outdoor environment, the outdoor temperatures yet. That could be from it being a little bit too cold outside compared to inside, or the inverse, or it's being too hot or too sunny compared to what it was inside. I have had many a time where I started off something like tomatoes and they look amazing. I put them in the ground, and then the next day we get a bout of hot weather and they're just toast, they're fried. I have to start again, or sometimes it's just too late, so I have to go out and buy starts, which is much more expensive, and we only could avoid spending more money. So, hardening off again, very important. You need to acclimatize things when you're moving them from inside to outside. And my preferred tool is a cold frame. You might have seen me reference it in a previous video of mine, so I'm just going to go into the ins and outs of mine, how it works. It is very, very simple. It's really easy to make your own out of a multitude of different materials, but I'll explain what mine is and how I use it for hardening off, or like I said, acclimatizing plants when I've started them indoors to moving them outdoors. So this is, and that's a crow behind me. So this is it right here. This is my cold frame. So cold frames are essentially like little mini unheated greenhouses. So mine is just made from some 2x4s and some plastic, and I've got a little handle on it, and I've just got a couple pieces of wood I prop it open with to provide airflow or to let it cool down when it gets too hot. So that's basically it. So what I've gotten here right now is some seedlings that I started indoors a few weeks ago. They germinated, and now that we're into May and we're getting some really good temperatures, it's time to plant them in the ground, but they can't go immediately from being little seedlings started indoors to being planted in the ground and exposed to all the elements in the sun. So in this situation, what the cold frame does is I bring them out, I put them in here. If we get a drop in temperature, because again, it's not actually summer yet, it's still early in the season, I can close it up. So if we get some, again, like a drop in temperature or some rain or hail or anything that still might happen, in spring compared to summer, I can close it up and they're safe. Or if we get some amazing weather like we have right now, I can prop it open, or I can fully open it up, and they can get good airflow. They don't get fried under the plastic. And since they're still young, they just germinated a couple weeks ago, what I can do as well is I can use something like a cover, like that white blanket down there. Once this video is done, I'm going to put it back over. And for this intense period of sun that we're getting, that's going to protect them from the sun. So that's all going to help them acclimatize from the inside environment to the sunnier, warmer outside environment that we have here. But again, like I said, it's still early in the season, so if we have a bout of bad weather, I can just close it back up and they are protected. So they're going to stay in there for about a week or two, depending on the weather, and that's going to let them kind of slowly get used to being outside before I put them in the ground. Another way that I could do this kind of the same way that the cold frame is working right now is I could use the same blanket that I'm going to be using as a shade cloth to protect them from the sun in here. I can use that just like I was using the frost protection blanket. I can build a tunnel for that, and I can open and close that as I need to regulate the temperature and the airflow, but that will act as shade, again, as protection from the sun. Because when you're hardening things off kind of at the end of spring moving into summer, the sun and the hot temperatures, that's going to be your biggest fight. That's going to be your biggest battle when hardening things off, because that's what's going to fry them when they're young. In the inverse, if you've started things off and we were earlier in the season, say you had started seeds off in February and we're now in April, you could basically use this as a small mini greenhouse to start things off and give them a warmer start so they're protected from any frost that might happen early on, or any, God forbid, any snow, but any harsher winter temperatures. So it can basically do the inverse of what it's doing now. It can act as like a little mini greenhouse and give you a warmer outside temperature than you had or you have available to you, and you can give them the best start possible. So again, that's basically what the cold frame does. It acts as protection from the sun and warm. It also acts as protection from the rain, snow, hail, frost. It acts as kind of a multi-season protection for your baby seedlings, again, to kind of give them that strongest start possible. And once they've been there for a couple weeks, they've kind of gotten used to being outside, then you can go and put them in the ground. So just give them a slower easing in to being planted and being fully outside. That's going to give you the best start possible to your seedlings. You could go ahead and risk just throwing them in the ground, right after they've germinated or after they've grown on for a little bit, but you are definitely going to risk shocking them in that transition period from them going outside or inside to outside. You could have burn, you could have stunting, or they could just completely die on you. Or if it's too cold and you get a frost, they could freeze and that's it. You're back to square one. So again, highly recommend using something to acclimatize or harden off your plants. You can use, like I said, a cold frame, or you could use something like a shade cloth and build a little tunnel with them, but just something to protect them from the elements, whatever that might be in the season that you're working with. So that's essentially what hardening off is and kind of how to go about it. Now, again, I'll go back into my cold frame a little bit. It's super, super easy. Some people build them out of old windows. Some people do what I did, just some plastic and some 2x4s. Some people use just, some like old doors and stuff like that. But they're very easy to make. You can make them essentially out of anything, but you're basically just building a box that you can raise and lower the lid on, that you can cover in glass or plastic, something that's going to protect the plants from the elements, or something that's going to give them a bit of a warmer temperature and allow them to kind of, have almost like a mini greenhouse start. But that's the basics of what cold frames are. I highly recommend, if you have the space for one, even on a balcony, you can make something small. Looking into getting one or using one yourself, they're great tools. But that is basically it. That is essentially how you harden off your plants. You're finding a way to protect them for the first few weeks after they've been inside and germinated to that point where you're putting them in the ground. You're babying them and giving them a slow, easy transition into being full-on plants. So don't rush, don't give them a hard, harsh start. Let them ease into it, give them a good start, and that is going to give you the best success. So thank you again, guys, for tuning in so much. You can like, comment, and subscribe, but whatever you do, you are still awesome, and have an amazing day.